My name is Monica Carmen, and I am making this video in support of the Women's Coalition campaign for women's rights to keep and protect our children. I endured 12 years of physical, emotional, and sexual abuse from my ex-husband. My children encountered abuse as well. The police were at our house on more occasions than I can count. The police and the school have called CPS on separate occasions concerning how the father was treating the children, and they did nothing. When I saw how it was affecting my children, I divorced my ex-husband in June of 2004. Even then, he would not leave us alone and continued to abuse us. He threatened me and belittled me so much I started to believe him. A few months later, I was pregnant with our fourth child, and he told me we had to get married. I refused, and he started attacking me in court. In May of 2005, with this request from the children's counselor and my lawyer, I filed a motion to terminate visitation and/or supervised visits. The counselor sent a letter to the Stark County Family Court in Ohio with concerns for the children's safety. The next month, while in the hospital having my fourth child, the GAL called me asking why I did not allow my ex-husband to be there for the birth. We were divorced, and I was afraid of him. The GAL told my husband to claim parental alienation, which I had no clue what it was at the time, and to file a paternity, even though he claimed she wasn't his. My children begged and cried to not have to go with their father. I even had to push my children out of the door and lock it so I didn't get in any more trouble. It was not right. We were all sent to a counselor who was supposed to test us and see if there was any alienation going on. During my visit, all she did was complain about having to even do this case and saw me for 45 minutes for one visit. My ex-husband and the children only saw the counselor once as well. Months later, we never went back. I later saw in records that the GAL had made more than a dozen phone calls to the counselor. My boys were coming home from visits, exposing themselves and asking their grandmother to perform sexual acts on them. I spoke about this to not only the counselor I had my children seen, but to the GAL. They both told me I had to report it. I even spoke to my youngest son's neurologist, who stated in his report that he believed the boy had been sexually abused. During phone conversations and times I met with the GAL, he would speak of my sexual relationship with my ex and want to discuss it. The children's counselor told him that he was sexually harassing me and she was going to report him. In our January 27th hearing in 2006, the counselor report stated that I did alienate the children because our oldest daughter would not talk to her father during their session. The GAL reported that I was accusing the father of sexual abuse, and that disturbed him. He had the children's counselor removed from the case and wouldn't allow any of her reports. My ex-husband wore his military uniform in the hearing. With only hearing my ex-husband's side, 2 of my 4 children were given to Dad temporarily, and I was only given supervised visits. They claimed my oldest was too damaged due to the alienation, and the father chose to have no contact previously with the baby, so he was given supervised visits for only 2 weeks before allowing him to have Schedule A. The supervised visits went on for months before giving me Schedule A. There were several sealed GAL reports that consisted of false accusations from both my ex-husband and the GAL. Anything the children or I disclosed was never reported in this court or his reports. I tried to get a restraining order when he came to my home while my husband and I were at work, and tried to remove my oldest daughter from my home without discussing it with me and scaring the babysitter. When my present husband arrived home, he fought with him in the driveway and tried to get him fired from his job. We didn't get the restraining order because the GAL called into the county we were living and told them how awful of a person I was. In the summer of 2007, my husband was given full custody of the boys in Schedule A with the girls. From then until now, we continued to go in and out of the Stark County Family Court. I was forced to sit in weekly counseling sessions with my ex-husband, and the counselor even told the GAL that I had never alienated the children. My ex-husband was recording our sessions without our knowledge and shared them with the GAL. In 2011, my ex-husband returned my oldest daughter, who was 16 at the time, from a visit to never have her come back because she was reporting everything that was going on in his home, and they were constantly fighting. She claims that he told her if she didn't do as he said, he would take her little sister from her mother as well. He started that process in the summer of 2011. The lawyers and the new GAL for my youngest daughter forced me to agree giving him 50-50 and to give him custody of her, or they would take her away permanently. So I did. It was not right. Immediately after the change in custody, when she came back to our home, we had to rush her to the hospital to find out she had pneumonia and needed to see a pulmonologist who his pediatrician referred us to. They diagnosed her with asthma, which I had already been treating her for the same diagnosis, but Dad ignored me. For 2 years he canceled appointments, no-showed for appointments, and kept telling everyone and the courts she didn't have asthma, so he refused to give her medicine. She would come home and complain that she couldn't breathe when at Dad's house, and he would just give her cough medicine. The courts believed him and did not allow me to attend any more doctor visits. They even forced me to take the children off of our insurance, which was much better than his. In 2013, my son came to our home with gouges in his side of his face. He told us his stepmother had done it to him, and the boys' soccer coach told us she had to report it to CPS. They did nothing again. The same week, my oldest boy ran away and came to our home because his dad had been physical with him and he was scared and didn't want to go back. The police and I suggested he go back and let us take care of it with a lawyer instead of getting all of us in trouble. He did, and of course, Stark County Family Court didn't believe the children again. On December 24, 2014, my youngest boy, with my present husband, disclosed that his older brother had done gross things with his sister. This is also the daughter with my present husband. They were both 5 and 6 at the time. When I asked her, she broke down and disclosed as well. He was forcing my 5-year-old to participate and watch when he did the sexual acts with my 6-year-old daughter. This happened in our home, but never thought siblings did these things to each other. I was uneducated in this topic at the time, but am shocked how often it does happen. That day, we were going to see a neurologist because our 6-year-old daughter was throwing her head to the right. She was put through many tests before the disclosure, but afterwards the doctor diagnosed her with tics from the trauma. The doctor called a social worker while at his office, and they sent us immediately to the children's hospital. The next day, the police came to our home because they had received a call from the hospital. My children were put through interviews and evaluations that violated them even more. We immediately put them in with a wonderful counselor. My husband and I were told that the perpetrator, who was 13 at the time, had to have been molested himself. This is the same boy who the doctor told us he believed was sexually abused when he was 3. And Stark County Family Courts instead said I made up these accusations against their father. The police asked us to bring him down for an interview during our visit, and we complied with the recommendations of our lawyer and CPS. He confessed and more. He was never arrested, but charged formally with gross sexual imposition. His father, my ex, filed an ex parte, which we did not contest to. We went into Stark County Family Court without a lawyer because we were agreeing to what they wanted in regards to the accused. Just before going into courtroom, the attorney presented me with an additional ex parte removing the other 2 children from me permanently as well. I asked the magistrate for legal representation for the other matter, and he denied me and actually told me it was his courtroom and he will do it his way. I was forced to testify, and it turned into an all-day hearing. He removed all 3 children from me until further notice. My lawyer had to file a motion to give me back the children because the magistrate made me testify without an attorney. The judge did give me back my children, but not until 30 days later. My ex-husband then filed a contempt against me for taking my son to the police station. The police testified on my behalf, but that didn't matter. She found me guilty and sentenced me to 30 days in jail. Her reasoning was because I didn't protect my son, the accused, and get him legal representation. I did not notify Dad prior to taking him because he stated in his affidavit that he wouldn't take him because the boy already denied it. She wanted us to not involve the authorities and instead contact my ex about the allegations and discuss it with him. She stated along with the GAL that I should never trust the police. Of course, that was not in the transcript. My lawyer even went to hear the transcript because of the statement she made, and they had put it on a disc when it was done initially on tapes. I filed a stay and an appeal, but that has been denied. The judge has also killed us financially. I was ordered to pay half of my son's attorney fees, pay child support in the amount of $300 a month when I had only made $7,000 that year as a part-time tutor and substitute teacher. My ex makes more than $65,000. He was given all 3 children to claim on his taxes and no allocation for having my daughter 50-50. Over the course of these past 12 years, my family has put at least $200,000 in fighting for my children. When I was making $30,000, neither one of us had to pay support. My boys' grades have decreased and they have been in trouble, but even time Dad tells the courts it is my fault. But I see them very little. My boys just recently, especially the oldest, has told the judge that he will be coming to live with his mother when he is 18. She told him that would be a big mistake, but if he tries to go sooner, she will put his mother in jail. The 2 additional children who have been victims of sexual abuse are still suffering from tics. Today is my imposition for my 30-day sentence, and my ex has let me know that he is filing 2 additional contempts. Last Friday, my job let me go because of all of this, and I was teaching, a job I love to do. It is not fair that my children have to be without their mother for trying to protect them. Please help.